The Reds were all over the place, but end up saving face. A player in the know says that the club's talisman was rarely ready to go. And Jürgen Klopp plays bad cop to rouse his team of underachieving flops. The good, the bad and the ugly at Liverpool FC for EPL Gameweek number 5. Brought to you by the LFC File. Welcome back one and all for Gameweek number 5. The episode of the good, the bad and the ugly of Liverpool FC, brought to you of course by the LFC File and myself, Ben Green. So thanks for stopping by. As usual, thanks for the new subscribers. The channel is growing nicely, I have to say, and thanks for all the views, especially looking at the views for the previous episodes. So that's a great help. Thanks very much for that. And if you like the content, remember to like, subscribe and to press the notification bell. So let's get into it with the good. And this has to be, of course, Liverpool's result over the weekend. They went 1-0 behind, as usual, it seems, these days, but we'll come on to that later. And Jürgen Klopp made a very good substitution at half-time, got off Gary Mac Allister, wasn't him, he's too old, Alex Mac Allister, and brought on Luis Diaz, who completely changed the face of the game. And I can't see why Diaz isn't starting, to be honest. Liverpool looked a completely different team in the second half, as I said. Cody Gakpo converted Salah's cross on, I think, 55 minutes to equalise. And just as it seemed as if Wolves were going to earn themselves probably a deserved point, all things considered. Andy Robertson pops up with the run of all runs and the 1-2 exchange of all 1-2 exchanges with Mo Salah slotting in at the near post to give Liverpool the lead. Perhaps undeservedly, but to turn it around the way they did in the second half, I think it will be tough to argue, let's put it that way, that Liverpool didn't deserve the win. And as time ran down, the first minute of remaining time, injury time, young Harvey Elliott's shot was deflected in by the unfortunate Hugo Bueno. And that, of course, gave Liverpool the win and the 3 points that they needed. Put the team briefly first. Didn't last very long. Of course, now they sit third on 13 points after 5 games. Not bad, still early doors. So let's see what happens in the next couple of fixtures. And here we've got a nice summary from Sky Sports, where they've got the headline, Liverpool fight back from poor first half to beat Wolves. And yeah, never a fairer word said. Brings us nicely on to the bad. That this week is the report from the Echo, as you can see here, where they say, they quote Mikel Antonio, the West Ham striker, as saying, I know for a fact Mikel Antonio makes bold claim over Mohamed Salah Liverpool future. This is an interesting one. Is actually there. Tom Cavilla, the reporter at the Echo, is actually quoting Mikel Antonio from a BBC podcast, which is called the Footballers Football Podcast, I believe, which is with Antonio, Callum Wilson, and Ricky Haywood Williams, I think his name is, a DJ on one of the London radio stations. But he claimed that Salah was ready to go, and it was only because Liverpool said no that he didn't go. It's probably right, I think. I would say, all things considered, he's likely correct. Why wouldn't he leave? The guy's a hero. And yes, of course, credit to Mo Salah, he's not going to make a big fuss, and he just decides to stay maybe in January or the summer. I think he'll definitely go. So that wasn't a great one. Again, from the Echo, slight spin on the truth. What he actually said in the podcast, because I did listen to it, he kind of said, I know for a fact, well, in my mind anyway. That's what he said. It's not as if he was claiming that he knew from someone or whatever. He was just sort of saying, as far as he was concerned, he felt it was a fact that that Salah was ready to go. And it was just the fact that Liverpool put the red cross on the deal. Many a Liverpool fan, I'm fairly certain, won't argue with that one. it's fairly clear, I think, that Salah would have gone if he could have, but it was just too late in the day for Liverpool. So let's see what happens in the January window, and of course if he's still there next summer. And that brings us on to, very swiftly, the ugly. For the ugly this week, this is Lewis Steele's story here we've got in the Mail Online, where he has the headline, Jürgen Klopp's Jekyll and Hyde Reds. The Liverpool manager was incredulous at their sloppy first half display against Wolves, but Andy Robertson instigated a fight back. And yeah, Mr. Steele goes on to write, Jürgen Klopp was asked his thoughts on Liverpool's first half display. WTF, he said, pausing for effect between each letter. All Liverpool fans, I think, would share his sentiment. And if there was anyone watching the game, if you saw Alex Mac Allister, when he came out and took his place on the bench for the second half, the guy looked as if he was close to tears. I can imagine Jürgen Klopp gave him and the rest of the team an absolute bollocking. But Mac Allister looked absolutely shell-shocked when he came out for the second half and took his place on the bench. So, yeah, fair play to Klopp, because the players needed at least a massive kick up the arse, which they seem to have got. So, good skills, and credit the manager for that. But one thing is for certain, Liverpool need to stop giving away early goals. It's not just a phenomenon from this season, it's the same last season, and they really need to get their act together. And before we wrap up, we've got the FC Bumpy Grastards fantasy football team result this week, which unfortunately was under average, 38 against an average of 40, and you can see my team here. Actually done all right. I think the stumbling block is, of course, the defence. Yeah, Ake, Estupiñán and Van der Van didn't do me any favours at all, just 2 points between the three of them. Clearly not good enough, and that's something I'll have to address this week. I have to see who's playing who. If Arsenal are having a relatively easy game, let's say, then maybe Saliba would be a good one to have. But let's see. Alexander-Arnold doesn't look as if he's going to be fit for their game, I think, on Sunday. We'll see how things turn out. Not a great week. Not a great week. But this is a marathon and not a sprint, so we'll see what happens over the rest of the season. So I'm going to wrap it up there, folks. Thanks again for coming along. Remember to like, subscribe, press the notification bell, and of course, follow the blog on Facebook, Instagram, and little old X down there. Thanks again, and enjoy the rest of the week. 2 fixtures to discuss next week. There is LASK in Group E of the Europa League on, on Thursday. And of course, next Sunday, Liverpool take on West Ham at Anfield. So that's going to be another interesting fixture. Until then, enjoy the rest of the week, guys. Stay safe, look after yourselves, and peace. The LFC file.